Hello and welcome to Underlords Universe. I'm Brian, and I'm usually joined by one of my colleagues, Brent, or Josh, or a number of others. I'm involved in a creative project known as the Underlords of the Overworld, and more on that in a bit. But basically, we gather here to discuss the things that inspire us to be creative in our own right. And like I said, more on that in a bit. We've been invited, Brent and I both have been invited to be guests on Cretin Classics for an upcoming episode there on the top 12, our top 12 favorite Judas Priest songs. So I've been doing a little bit of reading on Judas Priest. Not that I haven't grown up loving the band. I know everything that they've ever, done, but one of my favorite authors in the rock field is Martin Popoff, and he's got this volume here, Judas Priest, Decade of Domination, which follows the first, as the title suggests, first 10 years of Judas Priest's history. And while I was doing my listening, going back through the entire Judas Priest catalog and really narrowing down my top 12 for that upcoming episode on Cretin Classics, I was reading this book. And I thought, I'm going to do just a quick little video book review, basically, of that. Now, that book, like I said, it covers the first 10 years of Judas Priest's career, from their recording careers, basically 74 to 84 in that book, covering 9 albums, which are Rockarola. And of course, Rockarola had an alternate cover as well. Sad Wings of Destiny, Sin After Sin, Stained Class, Hellbent for Leather, also known as Killing Machine overseas, British Steel. It's that big anniversary edition of it there with the different artwork. Point of Entry, Screaming for Vengeance, an updated artwork on that one to that edition, and then of course Defenders of the Faith. So Popoff, he's an interesting author, most prolific rock journalist out there. And so he's an interesting guy to read. I really enjoy his writing. I read a lot of stuff. I read a lot of different kinds of stuff, fiction, nonfiction, and it's always just such an easy read to read Martin Popoff's stuff. I've read a lot of his books. This just falls right into his normal kind of writing style. He doesn't focus a lot on band drama. His focus is on the art. It's on the albums. You get maybe little bits for context here and there, but by and large, it's about the music, and that's what I like. And I did take a few notes about some things regarding Judas Priest that I wanted to take note of while I was reading this book. For one, most Judas Priest fans know that for the bulk of their career, the writing credits have been Glenn Tipton, Rob Halford, Ken Downing, KK Downing, in that order: Tipton, Halford, Downing. And so you always kind of wonder, like, okay, is it really, that much of a team effort? Is it equally those three? After all, Tipton, Halford, Downing is not in chronological order, or excuse me, I should say not chronological, alphabetical order. So it always made me wonder, is Tipton really more of a driver musically than Ken Downing? And there's some other things that hint that might be true as well, because later in the career, like on the album Demolition, for example, the writing credits are split again, and Tipton's got writing credits just solely attributed to him. But I always kind of wondered about that. And there's a couple references here in this book when they were working with Simon Phillips on the Sin After Sin album, for example. That one right there. There's a quote from Simon Phillips about Tipton kind of being the driver behind a lot of the music. And Tom Allom apparently makes a reference to that as well. So that kind of opens up maybe a little bit of a window into the kind of the workings behind Judas Priest. And then you think, well, okay, well, he's more if Tipton's if he really is more of the prolific writer in the band. What about the fact that, Ken Downing has recently come out with two albums, pretty much all written by him, presumably. So it just kind of makes you wonder what the band politics, regarding writing and credits and all that kind of stuff. Now, for maybe a lot of people, that stuff doesn't really matter. But if you're a longtime diehard Judas Priest fan, you might find that stuff kind of interesting. There's other anecdotes along the way too. Popoff writes about the band learning of John Lennon's death, and while they're mixing the Point of Entry album at the studio, um, Ringo Starr's house. And that's kind of an interesting story. There's a great story about them playing the US Festival to 300,000 people and then turning around and basically, working as manual laborers, trying to build physically build the studio that they're going to be working in, shortly after that. And I think, yeah, I'm sure I have it here. Ken Ken writes of that in his book as well. I'm almost positive I remember reading about it there as well. And Rob did, I think, as well. So another thing is I think is kind of fun about reading, Popoff is not just a journalist, but he's also a fan. And so he always puts his 2 cents in about what he thinks. And I think it's just kind of fun. You're reading, a journalist's perspective and a fan's perspective. And I think it's neat to kind of get an idea of like, well, okay, what does this author think about this stuff? What are his personal likes and dislikes, etc. I think it's fun to kind of find the areas where I agree, but also disagree with him. For example, he's got Popoff has a bit of a problem with the drumming on Free Will Burnin' on Defenders of the Faith. And as far as I understand, Martin's a drummer himself, grew up as a drummer. So the guy knows a little bit about what he's talking about. I always felt that the drumming on that song on Free Will Burnin', um, just from Dave Holland, it almost felt like the wheels were just about to come off. And that's actually what I really liked about it. Apparently, it rubs Martin the wrong way. I think he used the term stodgy. So those drums felt stodgy, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, maybe, but I kind of like it like that. So, if you are a reader and you're a fan, you got to get that. You got to pick this up. But also, if you are just not not much of a reader, but you're a diehard fan, I highly recommend it. So. And he's also got a second volume as well on Judas Priest, Turbo Till Now, um, which I'm plugging away at as well as I prepare for, like I said, Brent and I are going to be on an episode of Cretin Classics doing top 12 Judas Priest songs. So, just doing my homework and just sharing my thoughts along the way. So if you have never stumbled across our channel before, please like and subscribe. And I'll just do a quick note about what we're up to. We are musicians ourselves, and we're basically a bunch of nobodies, which is where the name Underlords comes from. And we've kind of created it's almost like a fictional conceptual universe around why a bunch of middle-aged dudes write and record music. And our bass player writes fiction under the name H. Prescott Lemon. And he's got two series that kind of are in the same universe. One's called the OAO, which stands for Ordo Abstrusis Oculus. So it's kind of a secret society thing. And then an Underlords series as well, which is really fun. They're quirky, they're kind of fun. We've had the opportunity to do a song with Blaze Bayley, former Iron Maiden vocalist. We also had Derek Sherinian, keyboard master, do a couple tracks for us. Our stuff's on Spotify and Apple Music. It's also on Bandcamp, and the books from H. Prescott Lemon are on Amazon. If anybody's interested in supporting local music, local kind of independent, I should say, independent music, independent writers, that's what we do. And we like to just hop on YouTube occasionally and kind of just throw stuff out there. We don't really see ourselves as YouTubers. We're just kind of connecting with people who might be of like mind. So at any rate, thanks for checking it out. And again, if if you're up to it, like and subscribe, and we have some more stuff coming up. So thanks for checking it out and have a good day.